From the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
This is Joy News at 18 live across Ghana, in Nigeria and several other countries on the continent, as well as on ABN television across Europe. In this edition, result of test on what was feared to be Ghana's first case of Ebola comes out negative, but health authorities are not letting down their guard. We'll bring you the very latest on developments in the sub-region as well as how to prevent it. Joy News investigations into operations of Savannah Accelerated Development Authority uncover further disturbing facts bordering on financial malfeasance. Minority MPP members swipe at Mahama administration over what they describe as gross mismanagement of the economy. Commercial transport operators complain about delay in publication of new transport fares following recent upward adjustment in fuel prices. And Doma Ahinkro residents explain why they are unwilling to pay taxes. They say they are unconvinced their monies are being put to good use. We also have business, sports, showbiz, and international news all coming up. Stay tuned.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
Now, very first story, test on blood samples from a girl who died from what was feared to be the deadly Ebola virus have come out negative. Minister of Health Cherry Aite told a news conference though Ebola has been ruled out, officials at the Oguchi Memorial Institute are still researching into the cause of death.
News broke out about a suspected Ebola case at Okonfa-Nochi Teaching Hospital in Kumasi over the weekend, coming on the back of reports that the virus had claimed several lives in countries in the sub-region. Many feared the worst. The negative results, as announced by the Minister of Health, therefore, comes at a great relief.
A report from Oguchi Memorial Institute, states categorically that the samples of the blood, that they analyze, is negative of Ebola virus, and also negative of any common viral fever. And on this note, would like to allay the fears of Ghanaians, that the Ebola virus has actually been detected in Ghana.
Officials maintain the ministry and the technical committee have taken steps to ensure full control of the situation at all entry points and within the country.
Currently, we've agreed to establish 56 quarantine centers across the country. We also need to provide protective clothing to most of our hospitals and our regional medical centers. And also, it is very important that we train, our medical, staff, our nurses, how to take care of themselves when a suspected case is reported to the hospital.
There were suggestions earlier that Ghana would have to restrict entry through its borders to prevent infiltration by the virus. But the World Health Organization country representative, Dr. Robalu, says there's not going to be any such move.
WHO is not recommending any restriction on travel or on trade with Guinea, with Mali, with Liberia, with Sierra Leone, with Ghana, or any other country where cases of Ebola have been either suspected or confirmed. There is no need for restriction of trade, restriction of travel. You have heard that some countries are closing their borders. There is no need for people to fear coming to Ghana, going to Guinea or anywhere.
Members of the public are meanwhile being asked to report any suspected cases to the hospital or to officials of the Ghana Health Service.
Right, and to educate us more on the Ebola virus is the WHO country representative, Dr. Magda Robalo. She joins us in the studio. Good evening to you, ma'am.
Good evening.
All right, so can you tell us what's the very latest on Ebola in the sub-region? We know it started in the sub-region, and it is still within the sub-region.
Thank you for the opportunity. What I can share with you this evening is that Guinea remains the epicenter of the outbreak in West Africa. And unfortunately, we had the disease, the outbreak spreading to Liberia, as we do know. We had some early indications that suspected cases had been seen in Mali and Sierra Leone, but in these two countries, we have not had any positive results from the lab, both for Mali and Sierra Leone.
So these two countries you're talking about, there were suspicions, just like we had.
Exactly, exactly.
It turns out negative.
In Guinea, we have so far 95 people who have died of the Ebola viral disease, with 151 who have been infected or suspected to have been infected so far. So we remain in high alert because there is potential for further spread into the sub-region.
All right, now let's come to Ghana and look at the Ghana situation. How convinced is the WHO, about structures that have been put in place so far by our health authorities to prevent infiltration of the virus?
Well, I think the Kumasi case that we have just concluded today that was negative was a good test of the level of alertness that the Ghanaian authorities have put in place to detect any suspected case and being able to quickly put the diagnosis in place and find out whether or not it's a positive case, and then from there roll out the response that is required for the outbreak. I think we had a very swift response from the health facilities, from the health authorities, and that gives us confidence that moving forward, if something comes up, we will be able to identify a suspected case and quickly have the diagnosis.
How quickly or how soon after the incident, or when did you get to hear that there was a case, this case at Konfanochi Teaching Hospital?
Well, I think from what we heard, this is a 12-year-old little girl who died on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, and it was the post-mortem which actually led the health workers to think of a possible case of Ebola. As you may know, and as people out there should know, Ebola is a disease that mimics many other diseases. So you may think of cholera, you may think of malaria, you may think of typhoid fever, etc. So you may not think of Ebola at the in the first place. So from my understanding, it was after the post-mortem that then they saw that there was some internal bleeding, and that led to further investigation, which fortunately was negative for Ebola.
Can you give us some education as to what to avoid or what not to do?
Well, Ebola, unfortunately, is a disease for which so far we don't have any treatment and there is no vaccine to prevent Ebola. The only thing we can do is to avoid contact with wildlife that can transmit the disease to the human being, and then human-to-human transmission that is made through close contact with fluids, secretions, and blood, and any other liquids and organs of infected people. So what we are recommending is precaution. Fortunately, it's not like an influenza virus where someone may sneeze in a room and then you spread the virus. It requires close contact, but it requires precaution also. Like I said, it's a disease that mimics many other illnesses. You may not suspect that actually this can be a case of Ebola. We don't want to create panic. We don't want anyone to be alarmed by this. We just want people to be aware and to take the necessary precautions to avoid wildlife animal transmission to human beings and human-to-human transmission of this disease.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We've just been speaking to Dr. Magda Balo. She's a WHO country representative. In other news, after months of investigating the operations of the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, Joy News has uncovered more facts bordering on financial malfeasance. Now, SADA was originally created to coordinate development to bridge the development gap between the north and south of Ghana. But its operations have been bedeviled by alleged corruption, improper award of contracts, among others. In the first of our investigative series, Manasseh Asare reports on how SADA invested 74 million Ghana cedis at the bank where its chairman is managing director, which monies it is unable to account for.
According to a budget monitoring report submitted to Parliament for the 2012 financial year, SADA earmarked over 23 million Ghana cedis as its investment for that year. The authority, however, ended up investing over 74 million Ghana cedis, that is over 51 million Ghana cedis more. The budget monitoring statement does not provide details of the investment, but a recent audit report Joy News intercepted in the course of this investigation reveals that the amount was invested in a call account at the Movenpick branch of the Stanbic Bank here in Accra. According to the report, management of SADA could not produce the investment certificate as evidence of the deposit made. Management also failed to disclose the interest that had accrued on the investment. The audit report says there is the risk that the investment could be lost to SADA in any eventuality. Another anomaly which the audit report found with the 74.5 million Ghana cedis investment is the type of investment made. The report indicates that SADA could have invested the money in high-yielding accounts, such as fixed deposits. Though they will not speak on record until they've seen details of the account, they have indicated that the call account could only be justified if SADA management negotiated a high interest rate. Management of SADA has refused to comment on the transaction. Joy News also contacted the board chairman of SADA and managing director of Stanbic Bank, Al-Hassan Andane, in whose bank the investment was made. He confirmed that SADA had an account with the Stanbic Bank, but he declined to provide the interest rate and other details of the investment. I account to the president and not to you, Manasseh and Joy FM, he said. Joy FM, myjoyonline.com and Joy News on Multi TV will be bringing you more on our investigative series on SADA. Manasseh Asare for Joy News.
So as you just said, there'll be more on the latest on investigations into SADA, so do stay tuned. It will be across all platform, TV, radio, and online. So Judgment Debt Commissioner Justice Yapa has had cause to complain about what he says is a politicization of the Commission's work by the media. He wants this to stop because it is impacting negatively on its work. He explains there's an unwillingness by witnesses to appear before the Commission to testify as a result.
He said some newspapers, including the Herald, wrote wrong reports suggesting the Commission is after past Attorney Generals, including Joe Gatti and Nana Akufo-Addo.
I again read from the Herald that so Commissioner Lambase or so Joe Gatti, Attorney General. Nobody has ever mentioned the name of any Attorney General here. During the drillship issue, people were on the radio, TV, everywhere. My own friend Kweku Baku was going around shouting. And the commissioner, they are looking for Nana Akufo-Addo. It's Nana they are looking for. That's why they are doing this. That's what nobody said he was looking for Nana Akufo-Addo. If some of the papers are being paid to play dirty politics, please don't extend it to this commission. This is a national exercise. It affects everybody, all parties. It cuts across all parties, including even military regimes.
Justice Yawapa was very unhappy. These wrong reports have been affecting the work of the Commission since witnesses have begun to shy away for fear of misrepresentation.
So the witnesses who appear before us to assist us get to the root of some of these things. When these payments were being made or when the cases went to court, some of them were not even at post. They are just coming here to assist us with documents to get to the root. But when you come out with such sensational reporting, some of them feel, unwilling to appear. Once some officers are asked to come, they fear to come because they know they will be misreported. Please, don't do that.
In the case of Ghana Telecom and Telecom Malaysia, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Finance was represented by legal counsel Sarah Fafakbodo, who produced documents relating to the settlement between the two telcos. Attorney General, who was unable to attend, wrote to the Commission explaining the need for more time to produce documents.
President John Mahama is in the Colombian city of Medellin, where he is attending the 7th session of the World Urban Forum as a special guest speaker and guest of honor. The UN-sponsored forum is to explore issues bordering on rapid urbanization across the world. At an earlier lecture at the London School of Economics last week, the president told the students of the impending launch of a Made in Ghana campaign to help local firms manufacture goods that are currently imported.
Under the theme, Urban Equity in Development, Cities for Life, it is organized by United Nations Habitat and hosted by the Colombian government. The forum is aimed at thoroughly discussing the bane of urbanization and how it can be turned around for good. President Mahama jointly opened the ceremony with his Colombian counterpart, President Juan Manuel Santos, on Monday, 7th April. President John Mahama is said to have addressed the forum on the challenges of rapidly growing cities and how to prepare for the rapid urbanization of the African continent in particular. At the 68th session of the United Nations General Assembly, President Mahama, on behalf of UN Habitat, led fruitful discussions and debate on Africa's rapid urbanization at a side meeting with other African leaders. Earlier last week, the president reiterated his government's intention to embark on an entrepreneurial drive to create more jobs. He told students and staff at the London School of Economics that Ghana is in the midst of launching a Made in Ghana campaign that will turn the private sector into manufacturing many of the goods that the country is currently importing, but which could readily be made in the country. The establishment of the new Made in Ghana industry, he says, is expected to create jobs to feed the economy. President Mahama also encouraged the students, especially those of African descent, to keep hope alive and work hard towards a better continent, urging them to take advantage of the wealth of potential in the continent, particularly in the area of entrepreneurship.
We're taking a break, but we have more news coming up. Stay tuned. The minority NPP members of parliament have taken a swipe at President Mahama's administration for what it describes as gross mismanagement of the economy. At a news conference in Accra to present its version of the State of the Nation, Minority Leader Osei Asare accused President Mahama and his team, among others, of escalating the country's debt from 9.5 billion Ghana cedis in 2009 to 55.6 billion Ghana cedis this year.
The news conference touched on key sectors of the economy, including health, transport, education, the depreciation of the cedi, sports, manufacturing and agriculture. On education, Minority Leader Osei Asare called on government to rethink the decision to cancel the allowances of teacher trainees.
We disagree with his prescription to ameliorate the situation. Cancelling the scholarship to teacher trainees, which the president announced has been done, and which they, according to him, is increasing the numbers of trained teachers, rather has a flip side. And the flip side is that it limits government's authority to bond and keep the trainees in the classrooms. There ought to be a rethink of this policy. We need to further expand the facilities in the 38 colleges to rapidly increase intake of the students than we have done before.
The minority leader asked the president and his team to furnish Ghanaians with evidence what has come in so far from their pay cuts, which is to be used to establish the 1,600 chips compound. He also accused government of inflating the amount of money needed for the rehabilitation of the Rich Hospital.
We are told that the Rich Hospital, when completed, will cost the nation $6,757 per square meter, thereby making it the most expensive hospital in the world. Crown agents who were employed by the state to do due diligence has advised that the facility could be built at a cost of $162 million. And yet we are having to do it at over $305 million. Crown agents further advised that the contract agreement is likely to expose, and I'm quoting their words, likely to expose the Ministry of Health to unacceptable risk.
Osei Chairman Sabonso also raised concerns about agricultural production.
Last year, we related to the stagnation of growth in the production of basic staples, cereals, legumes, roots, and tubers. The huge yearly fluctuations in output and the rising increases in the imports of rice from 395,000 metric tons in 2008 to 543,000 metric tons in 2011 and over 600 metric tons in 2013, for which the nation spent $374 million United States dollars, provide ample testimony to deepened food insecurity in the country.
As far as they were concerned, government has failed to ameliorate the suffering of Ghanaians, noting the decline of the cedi, coupled with high utility bills, have made life unbearable.
Well, the New Patriotic Party, the country's largest opposition party, will this weekend go to Congress to elect new executives to lead the party into the 2016 elections. One of the positions being keenly contested is that of General Secretary. Joy News will be bringing you comprehensive coverage of the Congress on all our platforms, TV, radio and online. But tonight, we preview the race for General Secretary, which pitches a civil engineer against 3 lawyers. Francis Aban reports.
Incumbent General Secretary Kwadwo Osuefue is the man to beat as he won by more than 60% of the total votes cast at the last delegates conference in Kumasi. He describes himself as the lead grassroots man who understands the needs and concerns of the masses of the party. He's counting on the support he enjoys among the grassroots to get a renewal of mandates by the party's delegates. His call message to the party delegates is that he has been with them all the time and understands their language as a grassroots person, and so can work effectively with them to secure victory for the party in the 2016 elections. Another contender for the position is Kwabena Ejapong. He's been described by some party supporters as a true party man who knows the NPP inside out and who has a lot to offer. His assurance to the NPP delegates is that he will be a practical and decisive General Secretary who will take pragmatic steps to win the 2016 general election.
Now, we do apologize. There must have been a hitch with the story there. But in other news, the Northern Region Police Command has arrested 14 suspects, including 2 assembly members, in connection with recent violence in the East MAMPRUSI district, which claimed 4 lives. Several others were injured in the clash between the MAMPRUSIs and Konkumbas on one side and the Bimobas on the other.
The 2 assembly members named among the 14 suspects are said to have instigated the youth of the area to engage in the violent exchanges which started last Thursday after a man believed to be a Bimoba was shot dead by Tambosas at Bimbamong. The Bimobas following the death are said to have attacked the Tambosas, who then retaliated. The violence, which lasted 3 days, spread to neighboring communities such as Bongni and Sakogu, join in the Mamprusis and Konkumbas. Many houses in Bongni, Sakogu and Bimbamong were set ablaze, causing the inhabitants to flee. The 14 suspects were arrested in a police operation to restore calm. A number of weapons, including 3 AK-47 rifles, 3 locally manufactured shotguns, 1 G3 rifle, 1 pistol and over 70 rounds of ammunition were retrieved. Police Public Relations Officer ASP Ebenezer Tete said 7 out of the 14 suspects have been arraigned before court on charges of murder, conspiracy to commit crime with murder, causing harm and possessing firearms without lawful authority.
7 out of the 14 have been arraigned before Tamale courts, district magistrate courts. and we hope that it will be remanded to reappear subsequently in courts. The charges that we've prepared against them are conspiracy to commit crime to with murder, causing harm, and possessing firearms without lawful authority. 4 persons have also been confirmed dead. The number of injuries have increased to 4, but I must say that 3 of them have been treated and discharged. 1 is still on admission. Police reinforcement is still on the ground, and we are firmly in control of the situation as we speak now. We hope that with the presence of the police on the ground and the military, any further violent act by anybody is going to be quelled quickly or nipped in the bud.
Meanwhile, in a separate development related to the violence in the region, a Tamale District Magistrate Court, presided over by Anthony Asare, has remanded a 32-year-old unemployed Alhassan Alidu, also known as Bullet, into prison custody to reappear on April 21, 2014 for his alleged role in the murder of Mustafa Abdul Rashid, who was lynched at Abu Abu Timber Market last month. Alhassan Alidu was arrested last night by the police in collaboration with the public in the Abu Abu forest. This brings to 4 the number of suspects remanded into prison custody in connection with the Tamale violent incident last month, which claimed 2 lives.
Meanwhile, 17 of the 14 people arrested by police for their roles in clashes in the East MAMPRUSI district have been remanded into prison custody by Tamale Magistrate Court. They are to reappear on April 22, 2014 for a continuation of the case. Now, rural dwellers in the Doma municipality in the Branhafo region have attributed their apathy to paying taxes to the failure of the municipal assembly to account for the revenue it collects. They argue they cannot continue paying taxes if the authorities refuse to use the money to develop their communities. The issue came up at a tax education forum for the chiefs and people of Masu Kuren and Esikaso in the Doma municipality.
The forum was organized by Gift FM, a local radio station at Doma Hinkro, in collaboration with Global Media Foundation, an anti-corruption media non-governmental organization, and sponsored by Star Ghana. They noted with concern that many traders and other taxpayers in the informal sector refuse to pay tax not because they do not want to pay, but because they do not see what their monies are used for as far as development is concerned. The community members stressed that when their municipal assembly begins to utilize the internally generated fund wisely for the benefit of the local communities, they would feel less reluctant to pay. The Doma Municipal Assembly is, however, challenging the claim. Its budget analyst says, contrary to the claim, the Assembly always gives out expenditure documents through the various Assembly members to the communities.
At times, if people are trying to avoid tax, they give all sorts of excuses. But the truth is that after we finish with the assembly members, we give it out. And most of the time, they also call their people to explain to them what we have done at the assembly. But they don't take interest in taking the documents because, most of them cannot also read and write. So they don't see why they should change for those documents. But really, we give it out.
The Chief Executive Officer of Global Media Foundation, Raphael Ahenu, in an interview challenged municipal and district assemblies to use internally generated funds judiciously and remain accountable to the communities.
Most people are not willing to pay tax simply because they don't know how the tax are used, especially when you go to the district assemblies. They're supposed to report to the people annually. After the annual report, they should organize community forum, explain to the people that at the end of the year, these are the amount of money, this from Common Fund, this from IGF, this from Urban Grant, and these are the projects we have used this money for. But at the end of the day, they are not doing that. So people always feel reluctant to pay their taxes. So at the end of the day, we are trying to make sure that the district assembly will be more accountable by going to the people, explaining to them how the money they are getting are being utilized. So at the end of the day, it will encourage the people to pay their tax.
The CEO stressed that it is only through this action that the people will see the need to pay their taxes. Nesta Kafuya-Juma's report for Joy News.
Up next, we bring you business news, and the commercial transport operators being unhappy about the delay by the various unions and the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council to publish new approved fares. Stay tuned.
Now to get you updated in the world of business, my name is Abigail Adomako Nchi. Now, commercial transport operators are unhappy about the delay by the various unions in the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council to publish new approved fares following last week's increase in fuel prices. According to them, the delay in the release of the fares is affecting the operating margins.
Transport fares have remained the same, even though fuel prices have been increased a few times. This, the commercial drivers say, is badly affecting business, directing their charges at their union leaders.
Affecting papa. If we say, don't first park on the price in the buy, ye station say yantum, and what ye sign atum bear 3 times yantum, and we have become a fame my intia me high. So call my airborne on son. A cosro, ye didn't because I see the becomes a jumana yeno, says Cano in Yasa, Tiaboka. And two penny for na ye train say one beba ti ye penny for someone come no me ntemuna ntinsu hia say ye nso adwuma no ebetuma say say adwuma ye ne ye boka
me tofu egu me car mu na me de kwa adwuma sika wo se me nya no me nya because fair no so na yes ano ye penny for so mbetum and so yes up to date ni ye ntehwe entire old fair na ye use unti old fair no so no ko tofu na ye say for is almost getting to 12 point BBB. The
Greater Accra GPRTU chairman is however urging patience for what he describes as the inevitable increase.
We are still, talking, over that percentage increment. That has not been finalized, and therefore, we've not transmitted same to, our members to charge the new fare. We do not have any option than to increase. Passengers as of now cannot escape from any increments.
He added the union is going to effectively collaborate with drivers to insist the right fares are charged to avert arguments between passengers and the operators.
We've noticed the concern of, our passengers in terms of calculation of the percentage. And this time around, it is calculated before we sent out, to our various branches. You see, we've done the calculation by ourselves in this very office at the National Secretariat as well. Then we distribute to the drivers.
He, however, criticized the National Petroleum Authority for not consulting them before increasing the fuel prices and called for collaboration. Though he will not say the percentage increase they are proposing, Joy News has learned the union wants a 20% increase on the current fares. Matilda Pamaga for Joy News, Accra.
So we will be waiting for the new fares. Away from that, bulk oil distributors are calling on President Mahama to stop the bulk oil storage and transportation company BOST from outsourcing its petroleum storage facilities within the Accra Plains Depot to TSL Logistics Ghana Limited, a Ghanaian subsidiary owned by a Nigerian company. According to them, the deal, if allowed to stand, will defeat the president's campaign to empower local businesses in promoting the consumption of local goods and services. The National Petroleum Authority has meanwhile confirmed to Joy Business that as sector regulator, it has not been consulted in the BOST TSL deal as demanded by law. So the controversy still goes on the EPA, and civil society group Third World Network insists that the Ghanaian economy is headed for doom if it signs on to the Economic Partnership Agreement of the European Union. The group wants government to thoroughly examine the impacts of the agreement on the local economy. It is also calling for a national consultative meeting to take a decision at the local level before meeting with the regional body ECOWAS to take a final decision on the agreement.
Minister in charge of Public-Private Partnerships, Rashid Pelpo, recently announced Ghana's readiness to sign the EPA to continue enjoying the budgetary support from the European Union. But the Third World Network says government is sending out conflicting signals on its decision on the EPA, a position they describe as unfortunate.
The Trade Minister is saying that we need to hold a national consultation because of the importance of the treaty, trade treaty. That's one aspect. Then you have the Minister for Public-Private Partnership, Honorable Rashid Pelpo, also saying that Ghana is ready to sign the EP. I mean, it sends a very, very bad signal about the government, and it's unfortunate. I think it's important to look at even the international trade taxes that we get. We get from imports, which is about 16% of total revenue plus grants. And then if you look at the total grants, it's about 5.6% of total revenue. And so even on that narrow scope, you are going to forgo about 16% of your revenue for something about 5.6% of your revenue. I think it doesn't make any economic sense.
The network also maintains that the merits of the agreement outweigh the benefits.
The revenue you're going to lose is 3 times the duty that you're going to pay. And so it makes rational sense just to compensate the exporters and ask them to diversify the export destinations. The worst form of the agreement is what they call the rendezvous clause. What does that mean? Rendezvous means that we are going to commit in negotiating government procurement, investment services. Government procurement, in a sense, that is how we're going to spend our budget. And so if they take your taxes, they take my tax, they take our taxes in Ghana, and they want to award a contract to a company, they must not discriminate between a Ghanaian company and a European company. And so as a country, do you want to sit up and open up all your contracts and the European multinationals who have been supported and they are backed by their home governments to take all the contracts and allow your local companies to collapse? I mean, that is the wrong way of development.
According to Sylvester Bagoro, by virtue of Nigeria's new position as Africa's biggest economy, it could influence the ECOWAS decision on the EPA, but it will still need the support of member states, including Ghana.
Nigeria economy can match the rest of the, so Nigeria is a heavyweight. Then the other point you should not lose focus is in terms of value-added products, we export to the region. It's not to Europe. What kind of manufactured product do we export to Europe? Apart from our raw material that we export, our banana and all that, and that one, there's a solution to it. If a government will take the leadership and make sure they push for it, there's a solution to it. And so, in terms of the analysis, whether revenue, whether policy space, whether GDP, and all the effects are negative. And so, government has no basis to sign on to the EP unless it's a political decision.
Nigeria has meanwhile rejected the EPA at the local level, but has yet to announce her decision at the regional level. Abigail Adumakwenchi, Joy News, Accra.
Well, the World Bank is projecting Africa's growth to reach 5.2% in 2014 with strong investment growth and household spending. It says economic growth in sub-Saharan African countries to rise from 4% in 2013 to a projected 5.2% in 2014. The projection is due largely to the rise in investment in natural resources and infrastructure as well as strong household spending. And that's where we end the business news. My name is Abigail Adumakwenchi. Sports is up next.
Let's talk some sports now, and the Ghana Sports Journalist Awards, which was instituted in 2004, has made a comeback after almost 6 years of no activity, with December 4, 2014 fixed as the date for the next event at the Accra International Conference Centre. FNB Consults are organizers of the event, which will have 14 different award categories. Fifi Bunsen is CEO of FNB Consults and has been explaining to Joy Sports the criteria for winning the awards.
Structural issues. We needed to put some structures in place. We also observed and noticed that a few things probably were not going the way we wanted it to go. So we needed to put a halt, restructure it properly, and then bring it back to reduce the controversies.
So I can confidently say that this is here to stay?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the structure we have put in place now, much as it's my company that is doing it, the committee is very competent to run the entire show. So we put together the event, but in terms of the nitty-gritties of it, the committee is absolutely fantastic to work on it.
The team that you put together, I mean, how did you go about it? I mean, these are very noble people who know their stuff. Could you have gone in for any other person?
Yes, I'm sure there are other people out there probably we haven't even considered. But these are the 4 people we thought were well researched, very much aware of what was happening around us, and therefore it's a blend of young and old. If you notice, Kembe Diako is a veteran, James Oyedeji is a veteran, Ahimfol is young, Francis Dokwe is young. So it's a blend of young and old, which we think is the best for the moment.
Goes. Now, First Capital Plus Bank, headline sponsors of the Ghana Premier League, has presented a set of drums to each of the 16 Premier League clubs to help boosting supporting in the league. This initiative by the prestigious bank is a fulfillment of their promise to uplift the local game by promoting a competitive atmosphere at various league centres. Chairman of the Premier League Board, Yao Welbeck Abrapia, who received the drums on behalf of the club, says this will make the league very interesting.
We have our sponsors providing the 16 Premier League clubs with something to play about, with something to motivate the clubs, with something to make football interesting, and with something to draw the crowd to the stadium. This presentation will go a long way for even those who will be relegated, so that when they get to that level and they start using them, then the competitors who will be within that group, that is the first division, will realize that they are seniors who have come from afar. So don't worry. Even if you go to relegation, you go with it.
Let's do some athletics now. And Promasadol Ghana Limited has partnered Ghana's Fastest Human as part of efforts to revive and push athletics in schools. The initiative, which will be analyzed, is to unearth athletic talents in the country's educational institutions, especially children under the age of 16. Athletes who will excel in the championship will be entitled to athletic scholarships put together by the Barbarossa Foundation to study and train with a SPA Academy. Originator of the Ghana Fastest Human concept, Rex Brobe, is excited about the milestone.
Very, very, very satisfied. Why? Because what Cowbell is doing is identifying the juniors. The basic schools are 6 years to 15 years, and Cowbell is investing $250,000 to identify key people in all the athletic disciplines. I'm very, very happy today.
We understand some of your products have had the opportunity to go to Qatar and back. What experiences have they been sharing with you?
Besides the thrill of going to Qatar, the sports science which they are being introduced to, their blood is being drawn. I mean, the things they had to do, they were like, well, I'm here to do long jump. Why am I going to do all this? So that was a good exposure for them in what is to come if they had to become international athletes.
Where do you go from here?
Where we go from here is August. We do the second year of the Junior Elite, Cowbell Junior Elite Athletic Championships. The same thing will happen. We will pick the best. We will give them access to the Qatar people. They will come and pick the 4 or 5 or 200 that they want to pick. The scholarships are there. We have several scholarships for 15 and under.
That's your sport. Have a good night. Israel joins us with Simone.
Making it into the limelight as a musician is one thing many budding artists work hard towards all year round. And when an established artist offers a platform to such an artist, you can be sure you'll go all out to prove a point.
Breaking onto the music scene in Ghana is no mean feat. Ghanaian musicians have several tales about the struggles they have had to overcome to get where they are. With this in mind, what would you do as a budding musician if an already established artist offers you a platform to prove yourself? Well, Ghana's acclaimed dancehall king Shatta Wale at the weekend gave some budding acts a once-in-a-lifetime chance to show what they've got on his stage.
I hope you kept their tunes in mind, because this act says they are ready to take Ghanaian music to another level.
So hopefully they will be making an impression sometime very soon. But that's it for Showbiz.
Showbiz was...
I'll be here for the bulletin. Before we go, the quick run through our top stories. Result of test on what was feared to be Ghana's first case of Ebola comes out negative, but health authorities are not letting down their guard. Joint News investigations into operations of Savannah Accelerated Development Authority uncover further disturbing facts bordering on financial malfeasance. Minority MPP members swipe at Mahama administration over what they describe as gross mismanagement of the economy. Commercial transport operators complain about delay in publication of new transport fares following recent upward adjustment in fuel prices, but the GPRTU says the new fares should be out by Friday. And Doma Ahinkru residents explain why they are unwilling to pay taxes. They say they are unconvinced their monies are being put to good use. And that'll be it for the bulletin. My name is Israel Lyon. Have a good evening.